Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to be dealing with the Tree of Life Secret to Manifestation. That's right. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe bell to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, $20 per month. It's up to you. There's no obligation and you can cancel at any time. As a Patreon supporter, you'll get exclusive access to videos on the spiritual, videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to properly meditate, how to do correct breathing exercises for longevity, how to build a magical amulet, how to communicate with your ancestors, how to do lucid dreaming. Also, we have great articles there that you can read and take advantage of, as well as mantras for attracting wealth, attracting love. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so that we can get the revolution started. So, Grand Rising, Namaste. I want to take you through a special, how should I say it? Well, there is a secret technique embedded within the Kemetic Tree of Life, which will show you how to manifest whatever you desire. Now, before I really get into this and reveal this secret, I want you to understand something about magic, especially the Egyptian mystery system, as they call it. Any magician who publishes magical work, like an Aleister Crowley, you must understand, or the Golden Dawn, that many times when they publish a book or publish their magical work, they leave out stuff because they want to make sure that the real secret techniques are held within their grasp and their control, so that when they take on an apprentice or an initiate, they can pass along the secret. Because, you know, it just makes sense. You don't want to give out your best information to the public at large. You want to make sure you have a disciple who is dedicated and will treat the material with respect. So you'll leave out key things. And this happens with all different types of magic, you know, with your chaos magic, Kemetic spiritual tradition, the mystery system, your voodoo, you know, so your Santeria. So when you're reading these books that they publish at your local bookstore, keep in mind that if you're not under the tutelage of that magician, you're not going to get the real meat and potatoes, the real heart of the matter. Because they are inevitably going to leak. Those are my ferrets, by the way, in the background, having fun. They're going to leave out material to pass on to their personal students or initiates who have proven to be dedicated. And in some cases, they will give out the real secrets, but not always. So just be aware of that, you know. I remember I went searching high and low for a particular Indian black magic secret technique, and I was getting the books, And I was reading the ritual techniques and how they prescribe you do it. And one of my teachers had pointed out how they had left something out. And I was like, oh, wow. So, I had finally searched high and low for this book. I got it, and it was very expensive, only to find out there was something missing, And that's how magic is. Just be aware of that. I want you to understand that. This is why sometimes people will get a magical book or instructions, and they will take their time and they will follow the instructions and do it and perform the magic, only to not have it work. And then they'll just make a generalization and they'll say, well, magic doesn't work. This stuff doesn't work. I tried it. Nothing happened. Well, that's because they're not going to reveal their secrets to you. I mean, look at Nostradamus. When he was writing his quatrains, he for one thing, he had to put everything into a kind of metaphoric language in a way, so that he would not, that the church at the time would not come after him. So, especially back in those days, if you were practicing certain magic and things of that nature, they would lock you up. We know about the witch hunts and the witch trials, So you had to be very careful in what you said and what you wrote and published, or else you would find yourself getting your head cut off. So that's why many magicians were very careful in how they wrote, many times metaphorically, other times convoluting the information to make it very difficult to follow along or decipher, so keep that in mind. Now, the Kemetic tree of life, or what we would call as the Port Neteru, went through a number of versions in Kemet, otherwise known as Egypt. And these dealt with manifestation. These dealt with kind of alchemy, taking you from being a person, a regular being, to a higher spiritual being, which also has within that tree of life guarding against you misusing magic built into that tree. So with that understanding, I'm going to reveal a basic secret that everybody has access to in the tree of life that we're going to be using today. And if you are confused about this, then you're not going to be able to go any further, because it doesn't get any easier than this, what I'm about to show you. So let's start out with the bottom triage, all right? And this is with specifically the deities Sebek, Heteru, Auset, and Geb at the bottom. This is where everybody starts out, and everybody has access to these powers. However, as you go up the tree, it becomes more difficult to access more higher spiritual powers, but we're not going to go into that. Now, you must understand that the deities, when you look at them, they don't represent the same qualities as your Greek gods or your Roman gods. They're very different in the sense that they're metaphoric, for one thing, and they are faculties that are within you. See, the Greek and Roman civilizations, their gods were seen as outside of you. And this is because that was a left brain culture. And one of the qualities of a left brain culture is to see God outside of you and not within you. a quality of a right brain culture is that the gods and the powers reside within you. Understand that. That's important. So when you research Africa, and you'll note that many of the deities in Africa, the spirits in Africa, or we say gods in Africa, are within you. And when you research Europe and their culture, you'll know that the gods are always outside of you, most of the time, 95% of the time. Okay? And this is when you start to understand how we, as so-called human beings, operate, you'll understand that white people are predominantly left brain and black people are predominantly right brain, or people of color. Women are predominantly right brained. Men are predominantly left brain. Keep that in mind. This is how we can trace our culture and know that Egypt, located in northeast Africa, is a black civilization. No doubt about that. And we can look at Europe by the gods that they created in a civilization and know it's a product of a white civilization. That white people created that. It's only in recent times that white people tried to lay claim to Kemet, Egypt, by saying that the ancient Egyptians were white, because it was a high culture civilization. Civilization reached its zenith in Egypt. So, therefore, based on racial reasons, racist agenda, white people tried to claim Egypt as theirs. And they're still doing it. And the Arabs who are now in Egypt are trying to do even a worse injustice by trying to say that the ancient Egyptians were Arabs, when that's not true. They only recently came into Egypt to enslave the population. But I digress. So let's get into the lower trigram of the Kemetic Tree of Life of the Port in Peru. So these deities we can also see as faculties within you. And they sometimes take on the form of animals. Like Sebek is a jackal, Heru is a hawk, and things of that nature. Now, we also have what we call as correspondences. So every deity corresponds to some aspect of nature or aspect of an animal and a man. So let's take a look at the first thing that's going to be very, very important. If we look at the bottom, we start at the bottom of the Tree of Life, we're going to see that we have Geb. Geb is the physical earth. Terra firma. Geb is also the state of health of an individual. Geb can also stand for resources. This is how our ancestors looked at things with these types of correspondences. And inevitably, all of these deities and characters were incorporated into the story of Osir and Aset. And not only that, the Tree of Life is a cosmological conglomeration of the deities that demonstrate a very sophisticated ecosystem when you start to study it. If you have studied the Kabbalah, then studying the Kemetic Tree of Life, you'll see very, very similarities there. Now, Geb, and I should actually show you Geb here, is the state of the health of an individual, resources, and wealth. But most importantly, for our sake, it deals with the physical manifestation of something physical. Perfect. As we move up the tree, we come to Aset, or Isis. Aset stands for nurturing, but also mediumistic trance, alternate state of consciousness, going into the different states, beta, alpha, theta, for our purposes. We come to Sebek. Sebek is the jackal with the long ears. Sebek corresponds to belief systems, facts, logic. But what we're concerned here is with the belief system. Okay. Then we come to Heteru, and Heteru symbolizes the visualization, imagination. She also stands for congregation, bringing things together so that they are pleasing to the eye and that they can work together in harmony. So those are the cast of characters we are working with. Now, on the outset, you may not see how these deities, or we could say these faculties, relate to manifestation. Now, there have been many people who have published books on how to manifest something for you. People will remember most recently The Secret, and that was supposed to give you the secret as to how the most wealthiest people manifested wealth. And that was a bunch of poppycock. You know, The Secret was just a money grab. Millionaires weren't using that. In fact, what millionaires were using to manifest wealth was they were manipulating the market. They were hoarding wealth among themselves. Just go back to Reagan's trickle-down economics, where the wealthy was holding on to the wealth. And you were given the lie that if we help them to gain wealth, then the money would trickle down to the poor and impoverished. But no, it didn't. It crystallized at the top. And the poor never saw any money. So it's the manipulation of markets that made them filthy rich. And being privy to certain types of information on the stock market has nothing to do with The Secret. That was just a scheme to make you believe that this kit, this CD, would transform your life. So it was but anyway. And then other authors came after that to take advantage of it, to claim that they had this manifestation or law of attraction secret, you know, and that if you followed their program, if you bought their program, you would be rich and wealthy, you know. And that was just a money grab as well. But the principles of the law of attraction, of manifestation, are actually sound. And you don't need to purchase a program like The Secret or something to be privy to that information. But why then does it work inconsistently? You'll see it work for some and not for others. One of the things I detail in my teachings is I talk about this, and it's important for you to understand that if it's within your destiny to accumulate wealth, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. However, if it's not in your destiny, then forget it. You're going to most likely live a life where you're going to have to work 9 to 5 to make ends meet. And you must understand not everybody can be rich in this lifetime. And that you are promised various different incarnations. Somewhere you will be rich and somewhere you will not be rich. You'll have to come to that understanding. You may be rich in this lifetime, or you may not be. So keep that in mind. It's all according to your destiny. This explains why you'll see some people born into a life of poverty. You know, it's an interesting story. We used to live next to this single mother and her 2 kids. And my mother was a very giving woman, and she often would give them food and anything they needed. And the single mother was not a good mother, not at all. One time, my mother had to go somewhere. I'm not really sure, to take care of something. And she asked if, she could allow her kids to stay over, which I knew was a bad idea. I'm like, this single mother was not a good mother, and having us stay over there is just not good. The woman said yes, so we stayed over. It was, half the night. And we were sitting there, and the kids, it was a boy and a girl, pulled out a bag of dog food, dry dog food. Now, we knew they had a puppy, though I never did see the puppy. But the next thing they proceeded to do was start to eat the dog food. And I was in just shock as to why these kids were eating dog food. And they received public assistance. And I think the mother squandered the money on drugs or something. And I never forgot that, because I was thankful that I was born or incarnated with a mother who made sure that we had proper food on the table, that we didn't want for anything. Because we could have been born with a mother like our neighbor, and we could have been finding ourselves eating dog food, So I say that to let you know that some people have that within their destiny. Now, I don't want to go into the details of can you go around your destiny? Can you change your destiny? That's a video for another discussion. But let's get into this secret technique now, which deals with manifestation. One of the first things that you are going to understand and have to learn to do if you want to manifest something, a mate, if you want to attract wealth, or buy or get a home, get a nice car, is you must focus first on your getting into an alternate state of consciousness, which is trance. This is important Because when you're in the left brain waking state, that is not the magical state. We all know that the magical state is in trance, alternate state of consciousness, which is why many magicians, including Aleister Crowley, took various different psychedelic drugs to get them into a different state of consciousness. LSD, DMT, ayahuasca, to get them deep into a different state of consciousness. But you don't have to do that, because all you need to do is just practice meditation and trance. That alone will take you into the alternate state of consciousness. The next thing you will need to do is take into that alternate state of consciousness is a visualization, an image of what you want in life. This is the Heteru aspect. What is it that you desire? A new car? Well, you didn't see yourself in that car. Visualize that. This is why Heteru deals with the imagination, the right brain. And you see she has that sun disk above her. And that is the Aten, the sun. Meaning you also need to invoke that Kundalini energy, that Ra force. All right? To help bring what you want into manifestation. And then the other thing is Sebek. Sebek deals with the belief system. You have to believe that what you want will come to manifestation, will come to pass. That is very important. Because if your belief system is one of lack, where you don't believe or you feel that you deserve to have money, to have a house, to have a good mate, a beautiful mate, or handsome, then it's not going to happen. So you have to take into trance with that visualization the belief that this will come to pass. No fear, no anxiety about it. None of that, I hope it happens, I hope it happens, I hope it... No, you have to be assured, convinced 100% that it's going to happen. Now with these three, the Aset, the Heteru, and the Sebek, will come to materialization in the physical world, that which you desire, symbolized by Geb. You will bring it to the world, the physical world. Geb. And that is that secret formula. Let's go over it again. We're going to put ourselves into an alternate state of consciousness, Aset. And she also stands for nurturing. That's a faculty that she possesses, or you possess within you, because that nurturing faculty is where she nurtured Heru to where he became ripe to challenge Set for the throne. So you're going to have to nurture your visualization and your belief by going into trance on a consistent basis. You have to nurture the image, nurture the belief system, keep with it. Then we go back to Heteru. Make sure that the visualization is in, as they used to call in the old days, Technicolor. Make it vivid. Make the image look real and convincing. And then with Sebek, your belief system. I believe that I'm going to get this. There's no doubt in my mind. And that is right there the secret to manifestation using the tree of life. If you put that into practice, you will get what your heart desires, if it's within your destiny. You understand? And when it doesn't manifest, people are like, oh, that technique doesn't work. No. Go back and look at what you did wrong. Was your belief system in alignment? Or were you full of doubts? Did you go deep enough into trance? Into meditation? Did you visualize properly what you wanted? Go back and examine the three, because somewhere you faltered. I guarantee you somewhere you faltered. And each one you must learn to perfect. One of the first magical books that I got was by Francis Bardon. And in the book, he takes you through these three phases, actually. One of the first chapters is on trance, teaching you how to go deep within trance and the proper breathing systems for trance. The next chapter was on the visualization, and that was a big chapter because he was teaching you how to actually visualize something to the point of where you believed that something was in front of you because your visualization was so strong. Last chapter is on the belief. How to get your belief system in alignment. Let me explain something to you. And Michael Talbot, in his book, The Holographic Universe, talks about this, about the people he studied that were masters at manifestation or the law of attraction. They asked them, those people who were masters at it, what did they have? What did they possess? He said they possess a strong faith, a strong belief system. There you go. There is no magical book hidden in the Buddhist temples on a high mountain that you're going to have to get. You just need this. And to perfect this triage of faculty, that's all you need. Everything else is icing on the cake, and it just helps you. But the basic formula is this. Nothing else. The basic structure. Now, yes, I have left out some things that will help you, but you have everything you need. Understand that. I have not left out the secret ingredient. No, I'm not going to do that to you. It's right there. Do you need a magical powder? A magical incense? A magical herb? Yeah, there are some secret magical herbs that will definitely speed up the process, help you. But you still can achieve what you want without that. You understand? All that is, when we start looking at the magical herb, the magical powder, and all that other stuff, it's just a permission slip. Do you know what that is? A permission slip is something that gives you permission to believe it'll work. A crystal is nothing more than a permission slip. If I give you this crystal and say this crystal possesses magical properties, and many crystals, some really do. They possess magical properties that would help you manifest. That's just a permission slip. It gives you, your psyche, your subconscious mind, permission to believe 100% that it will work. That's all it is. And you don't really need it. You know, when Howard Carter went in there and robbed the grave of King Tut, there was a warning in the entrance that talked about a curse had been placed on this tomb for any grave robbers. And Howard Carter is a grave robber. But he didn't believe that. But what he didn't know was that was a permission slip. That planted the seed was within his workers, his colleagues. And one by one, they started dropping dead. But it wasn't a permission slip alone. There was some magical herbs and things that they did to cause them to drop dead. But the permission slip was what really got them. And when the first person dropped dead, that was it. They all knew they were doomed. And that belief was enough to take them out. But anyway, I digress again. I want you to understand that permission slips are great. You know, some people need them, others don't. And for those who need them, I will give them a special powder or a special herb. But for those who don't, I'll just walk them through this process with greater detail. Let me give an example. This happened when I was in New York. I was putting together a technique to where I could find money on the street. Where I said, I'm going to put myself into a state of trance, altered state of consciousness, and then as I walked the streets of Manhattan, when I looked down, I would always find money. And lo and behold, it started happening. It started happening like crazy. And I started documenting it. And after a point, after a while, I put it aside and left it there for about 3 or 4 years. Then when I went to revisit it, I couldn't make it work. I was trying to figure out, well, why can't I get it working now, but I did before? And what I had noticed was my belief system had changed. On a very subtle level, I no longer believed that that technique could work. And another thing was I failed to put myself in the correct trance state. Because when the technique was new and I was using it and I saw proof it worked, I was excited. I was in a different state of consciousness. And I was like, wow, this is great. Look. And when you are excited, that's an alternate state of consciousness. But skip forward 4 or 5 years later, I wasn't as excited and I wasn't in that altered state of consciousness, so I couldn't make it manifest. So I had some difficulty there. And that's the key. My belief system wasn't there. My faith wasn't there. Which is why I often say that Christians do have the magical formula. Because some of them can give testimony to where all of a sudden God blessed them with money or healing. And yes, they're telling the truth. But when they don't feel the Holy Ghost or they're not as excited as before, they don't get the blessing. You understand? So the formula has to be duplicated. And that sometimes is the trouble that the law of attraction or the secret or techniques like this present. In duplicating it, you have to learn how to get into that state of trance, how to get into that belief system, that strong belief system. Am I making sense here? You follow me here? So again, this technique will work. I want you to immediately start practicing it. Now, don't run a test, because your spirit does not respond to tests, because you have to want it. You have to desire it. You have to need it. Then that's how the spirit will respond and help you to magically make it manifest. Just like oracle systems. People who don't believe and they go through the oracle and they say, well, I'm going to do a test. I'm like, no, you don't do that, because then it won't respond correctly. It's like, don't test God. You understand? Your subconscious mind is brilliant. It contains the knowledge and wisdom of the universe. It knows when you're not committed to something. It knows when you're playing around. And it will penalize you for that. You understand? Aleister Crowley died poor, broke, all because he used his power in a very negative way. He didn't seek wisdom and knowledge and to bring himself to a higher spiritual level. He sought perverted and wicked things. And therefore, at the end of his life, he had nothing. One of the great things about the Portnet Teru, the Kemetic Tree of Life, is it's a spiritual alchemy system, in that it seeks to bring you from a low state to a high state. It seeks to take you from being a human to making you into God. And that's a wonderful thing. Because too many people out there, your witches, your warlocks, they practice magic, but there's no morality behind it. They spend their whole life in the pursuits of secrets of magic and become corrupted individuals. I kid you not. Just go check out their little circles. Most of them, if you say something they don't like or you do something they don't like, they're ready to do a magical spell against you at the drop of a dime. They have no morality. They're not spiritually evolved. In the Kemetic spiritual tradition, we teach you the principles of Ma'at, so that you don't go around trying to put a curse on everybody. That demonstrates you of a low caliber. You know what I mean? This is why the tree of life, before you can get to the powers of Seker, you gotta first get through Ma'at. You must live truth. I hope this message resonates with you. If it has, please donate to the channel so we can keep making more videos. This is Qesankh Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.